Good evening and welcome to our guide to help you not just get through secondary school, but to really thrive and achieve your sole purpose. Our mission to ensure that every young person achieves GCSEs beyond their wildest imagination. This guide's been put together by a range of different staff right across school and includes lessons learned from previous cohorts, particularly those students that struggled to make the progress that they needed to do. So we are here to make sure that your best efforts pay off, even if as last year the unthinkable happens. The message we're giving to students this year is one of do the things that you can today so that year 11 will be an easier year where you will see success.
We've been telling students for years that every single piece of work counts towards their final GCSEs and the experiences that it builds. But nothing became more clearer than that last year when teachers were asked to grade students on the work that they had completed up till that point. We've always told students there's nothing pretend about mock exams. That's why we've called them pre-public exams in the past, because it gives an opportunity for the student to show the teachers how they perform when they put in all the effort and all the hard work in preparation for that exam. We want students to make sure that they give it their best so that teachers then know where the gaps are and what they can do to fill those to make the final GCSEs yield the best possible results for every student.
Good evening, I'm Mrs Morgan, one of the Deputy Head Teachers. I'm going to share with you some key dates and give you some advice about how you can support your son and daughter in their learning and progress. So the key dates can be seen on the screen now. Parents' evenings, 22nd of January for Year 9, 26th of November for Year 10. The exams for Year 9 will be from the 24th of February to the 6th of March, and pre-public exams for Year 10 are from the 7th to the 25th of June. And there are the key dates for where a report will be sent home for your child. Work experience for Year 10, 28th of June to the 2nd of July. A huge focus for us this year is to encourage all our students to become lifelong learners and take responsibility for their own learning and success. I think we all need to become lifelong learners, and the students have been told that they need to give 100% effort in every piece of work, and every piece of work matters. They've been told they need to build up the evidence of their ability and use any feedback they get from teachers to continually improve. They are in charge of their own progress. Yes, the teachers will help them and be with them every step of the way, but their attitude to learning and their effort will make a huge difference to their success. A lifelong learner will take responsibility for their progress and learning, and they're determined to be the best that they can be. That is my challenge for all students. Build your own success and evidence it in every piece of work you do by completing every piece of work to the very best of your ability. Every student should have a goal in life and what they want to achieve by the time they leave St Joseph's, and they may visualise their journey to that goal like the top image. However, in reality, to get to their goal, it is more likely to look like the bottom image. Things will get hard and things might sometimes feel like they're impossible, but with the right attitude to learning, with perseverance, resilience and hard work, they will get there. St Joseph's students are the best students in Bolton, even in the northwest of England, and I truly believe that. They are amazing and could have a brilliant future ahead of them. They've been told that they need to take responsibility for their own learning, progress and success. We will be with them every step of the way, but they've been told that they are ultimately responsible for their own success.
Hi everyone, Miss Finch here, the Head of Maths. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about maths, where your child is up to currently, what they can do to improve and to ensure that anything from lockdown learning is consolidated, and how they're going to move forward with their GCSE course. So, first of all, we want to start with where your child is up to. If your child is in Year 9, that means they've just started their GCSE maths course, and if they're in Year 10, they're approximately a third of the way through their GCSE course. GCSE is about building on skills from Key Stage 3 and extending these further with problem solving and reasoning skills being worked upon throughout. Problem solving and reasoning makes up a big part of the GCSE maths specification and is incredibly important. That's why some of the foundations your children will have from Year 7 and Year 8, and we will be developing those as we go through. Throughout the GCSE course and throughout Year 7 and 8, you will see something in their books that looks like this. They'll be very used to what this is. This is a question level analysis sheet. Skills in maths always come back around, so they need to ensure that they are working on them all of the time. After every assessment that your child does, they will have a copy of this in their book with the Maths Watch clip attached to it, which will then promote some independent learning for them to go back and revisit any skills that are coloured in red or orange or yellow in this case. How can you help? So as I've just said, I've looked at the question level analysis, and we would want them, after every assessment, to focus on their areas for development using Maths Watch. This includes a video and interactive questions to help them consolidate their knowledge on that particular skill. Maths Watch can be used without the teacher setting the work for them on their account. I will go through how to use that in a moment. There are some other website links that will really help them. If there are things that they're struggling on, Corbett Maths and Maths Genie both have exam questions that are split up into topic-based skills. They also have exam papers, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. So that's the top and the bottom link there. And the one in the middle, the Corbett Maths 5 a day, is absolutely excellent for having just 5 little questions every day. They have one for every day of the year, and pupils can do those at home, and that will really, really help, again, to just keep revisiting skills and building on what they already know. Recall is really, really important in maths, and that's what will give them the best chance at achieving their full potential at GCSE. So Maths Watch is used by teachers to set homework on, and your child will receive feedback on Maths Watch every other week. They will get a homework every week, but they will receive feedback on that every other week, detailed feedback. You'll be able to see that through your child's Maths Watch account. But this is going to take you through how to use Maths Watch to promote independence and to work on skills that they need to work on without their teacher setting it. So this is the home page for Maths Watch. They can get through RM Unify to get this home page, and to log in they will require their username and password. Now it's 17 in front of it for year 10, so it's 17 surname first initial at st-joseph.bolton, and 18 in front of that for year 9. It refers to the year that they started at St Joseph. So this is the home page, and assigned work will have all the assignments set by your child's teacher. However, if you click on the videos section, it will bring up this search box, and you'll be able to type in either the clip number or a keyword of the skill that you need to revise. When you do this, it will come up with the video, and you'll be able to watch that video if needed to revisit that particular skill. There are some other options across the top. There's a 1-minute maths video clip, and that's for everything in a minute if you only need a quick recap on it. There's the interactive questions, which is the most important of the 3, because that gives you questions and it marks it straight away, so it can give you instant feedback. And there's the worksheet as well for extra practice. If you'd rather do some work on a worksheet, you can use that tab, and the answers for those will be available with answer booklets in school. As I've just said, the interactive questions section is the one that's most important. When you click on that tab, there is 2 sections that it will split it up into: the standard questions and the harder questions. My advice would be to complete a variety of the 2. The questions will be marked straight away, and they'll be able to ask the teacher on anything that they're unsure of, and as a teacher, we can see everything that they are doing independently, so we can help if necessary as well. There is also a section that allows your child to keep track of which videos they've watched and which questions they've completed. This is the My Progress section. It gives an overview of which skills have been acquired and which skills have been mastered. And it also shows you when you've last watched them, so you can see which ones you've revisited and which ones are due to be revisited again. Finally, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about assessment. And in maths, there are 3 1 hour and 30-minute exam papers at GCSE. One of those is non-calculator and 2 are calculator papers. There are 2 tiers of entry, which is higher and foundation, and the correct path will be chosen for your child to ensure that they can maximise their potential. The more exam papers your child completes, the better. These are mainly used in year 10 and 11 to get students ready for the final exam, but introducing these in year 9, having a look at these in year 9, will only benefit you. There are some websites for that as well. On the Corbett Maths and the Maths Genie, you're able to access them through there, and one called On Maths, which again marks things online. The more the exam questions you see, the better. If there are any issues or queries, please don't hesitate to get in contact with me, and thank you very much for listening.
Hello, I'm Mrs Wood, the Head of English here at St Joseph's. Tonight I'll be briefly outlining the 2 courses students study at GCSE for English and share some useful tips to help support your child at home. Firstly, there are 2 GCSE courses students will study in English, English language and English literature, and both of these courses have 2 examination papers. Despite many opportunities for students to transfer skills between the 2 subjects, students actually need to revise in very different ways for these papers, so I'll take you through that this evening. So firstly, English literature. The examinations will test both reading and writing skills, and there are no coursework or controlled assessment elements. There's no pre-release materials, and it's also a closed book exam, which means students can't take any notes into the exam with them. There are also no proposed changes to exams in 2022 onwards. So this subject is mostly knowledge-based, and students therefore need to retain a lot of information for each of the set texts that they'll be tested on. And there tends to be 4 set texts. So we've got the poetry, the 19th century novel, the Shakespearean text, and the modern drama play. Students need to be able to demonstrate they have a secure understanding of plot and characters. They also need to remember and apply quotations from each of the texts. They also need to demonstrate that they understand contextual information and their ability to apply it where relevant. They need to understand and demonstrate their application of key themes across the text, as well as the writer's big ideas and messages. Students often find it easier to revise for this subject, and there are actually a vast array of materials available for them to use. The most popular are revision guides and flashcards that students can purchase through school. There are videos and quizzes, workbooks, and there's lots of online revision clips too. Here are some examples of the revision guides that we recommend. We will inform students when these are available to order through school, and we do that through Parent Pay, and they should be available in the next couple of weeks, so please keep your eye out for those if you feel that your child will benefit from these. So how can parents support the revision of English literature at home? I've just provided some do's and don'ts that you might find useful to have a look through. Here are some useful websites. So the most popular revision videos that students tend to watch are those provided by Mr. Brough and Mr. Kirby, and there's also the Click Revision series available on YouTube, which is quite useful as well. There's Seneca Learning, BBC Bite Size, and also GCSE Pod. Students should have a login for Seneca provided through their teachers. This is often used for homework and lessons, but if students don't have a log on to this, please see a member of the English team and we're more than happy to help set this up for you. Here are some more suggested revision tips that students could be doing at home, so please take a look through those and see if any of them will be relevant to your child. Secondly, English language. So again, there are 2 examinations for this GCSE subject. Both papers are worth 50% each. The examinations test both reading and writing skills and cover a range of texts from the 19th to the 21st centuries. Paper 1 is based on fiction texts and paper 2 is based on non-fictive. And again, there are no coursework or controlled assessment elements and no pre-release materials. Spelling, punctuation and vocabulary are extremely important on these papers. So that's something to bear in mind, that students could be practicing that at home as well. So how can students reach their target in English language? This subject is skills based, which means it's often quite difficult for students to revise for this subject in comparison to English literature. And the exams are completely unseen, so they need to make sure we do lots of practice. This is also the subject that students will need to resit if they do not get a standard pass. Many colleges ask for a grade 4 or grade 5 plus. Students will therefore need to be able to show that they can read, understand and interpret a wide amount of information from both fiction and non-fiction texts. They need to be able to analyse writers' use of language and structure and explain why that language is effective and how the writer has deployed it to make a certain impact on a reader. They need to be able to draw comparisons between how writers use language and for what purpose. And they also need to write creatively, often in the form of descriptive or narrative genres, as well as write to express a viewpoint on a given topic. So again, we've provided some do's and don'ts to help support your child with English language revision.
Hi, I'm Miss Miller, the Head of Science. For our GCSE students in science, there's 2 pathways that students will follow. Most students will follow the AQA Combined Science pathway, which will lead to 2 GCSEs. Most students will sit that at the end of Year 11. Some students will instead study the separate sciences, which will lead to 3 GCSEs in biology, chemistry and physics. That will involve longer exams and more content to be studied and more content to be remembered. We typically find as well that the grade boundaries for separate sciences will be higher, meaning that more marks are needed to get a grade 7, for instance. For all of our papers, students will be entered for higher or foundation tier. So we have the option to enter students for the tier that is most appropriate to their ability. But decisions about tiering and decisions about entries for combined science or for separate science, even for our Year 10 students, are a little bit further down the line yet. We will use data from in-class assessments, data from Year 10 mocks and data from pre-public exams when the students are in Year 11 to inform what is the best course for each child to be entered on. This slide just summarises what the Year 9 students will study this year in science. So the table shows the breakdown of the entire course. The green text shows what Year 9s will study this year. So we will cover more than a third of the course whilst they're in Year 9. This slide summarises what the Year 10s will study. The green indicates what has been studied in Year 9 and the purple indicates what will be studied this year in Year 10. Some of the areas that were looked at in Year 9 were done via home learning while students were studying at home rather than in school, and those topic areas will be consolidated fully to make sure that all students have a robust grasp of the content that was studied in that manner. So that's infection and response, chemical changes, electricity and atomic structure will be covered again in lesson time and supported via homeworks to make sure that everybody has a full understanding of the course so far. So the purple text here shows what will be studied this year in Year 10, but as I say, some of these areas will be looked at to make sure that it's well understood. How can I help my child to reach their target in science? So homework is set regularly by class teachers in all year groups. But using ePraise to check for the details of the homework, to make sure that your child can understand what is being asked of them, and can follow links that may be provided, and it encourages your child to complete that on time, and to seek support from the staff member if there are gaps in their understanding of what is needed. Please encourage your child to revisit what has been studied earlier in the course through independent revision. Some of that revision will be directed, so when there's a key assessment coming up, students will be provided with topic lists of what they're expected to be able to remember in that assessment, and we'll provide knowledge organisers and mind maps and other tools to help your child prepare for those tests. But some regular recall work would definitely support your child in their studies. So one way that you could support your child to do that is by doing quick quizzes with them based on what they've studied earlier in the month or last year, or even just lesson by lesson at the end of a day. Supporting scientific literacy at home is a really important way that you can help your child. So encourage wider reading of scientific stories of interest in the news or in magazines, and watching relevant documentaries. Say the recent David Attenborough series on extinction is really relevant to the GCSE biology and the GCSE combined science pathway. And just having that extra time to think about science and extra opportunity to hear scientific language being used will boost their confidence and boost their ability to use that language and engage in the classroom. As I said, lots of resources available in school to support students with that retrieval practice and exam question practice, but there's also a number of workbooks and flashcards that you can buy off the internet to help students do that. So here's some more examples there. These books here, available on Amazon or wherever, they are suitable for all students. The content for separate science students is clearly indicated at the back. If you're not sure which workbook is most appropriate for your child, get in touch with myself or another member of the science department to help you with that. This information provides a bit of a model for students when they're sitting down to start revising a topic. For instance, the cell biology topic, the first unit that they studied in Year 9. They would want to start by rereading initially their notes on part of that unit. So initially it'd be animal and plant cells, for instance, that they reread their notes on. They can use their old exercise books to support that, AQA revision guides, Seneca Learning, and some other ideas there as well. Having read the notes from a subtopic, they do then need to close their book, close the revision guide, turn the computer screen off, so that when they next make summary notes straight after or after a little break, that they're not just directly copying what they're reading. So to give them opportunity to retrieve that information that they've just reread. Once they've made the summary notes for a subsection, they'd then go to the next subsection of that unit, so specialised cells. Cover it, make some summary notes, go to the next subtopic. When they're making their summary notes, they might start a mind map or a set of cue cards, or they might use a knowledge organiser that we have available in school, and lots of different styles that will support students that prefer to learn in different ways. Having made a set of summary notes, they should check that summary is full and accurate by comparing it to their original notes, and use that then for a bit of rereading and revisiting again. When they're ready and they're feeling confident that they have studied that unit in full, they can then start to question themselves, or use a parent or a sibling or a carer or a workbook to do quick fire 1-mark questions to check that they can remember and have understood the information. Again, ideas that can help you up here. When those questions are being answered correctly and they can remember a fair chunk of that unit, it'd then be appropriate to start doing exam style questions and extended response questions. Initially unit by unit, so exam questions for the cell biology topic, and then later on in the process, when they've revised more of the course, they can sit full papers whilst they're at home. They're available from school but also on the AQA website, and there will be later in the year a lot of links provided and documents provided to support students to do that through ePraise. They can then use the mark scheme to mark their papers or bring them into school for us to mark them, and then use that feedback, use that marking to go back to parts of the topic that they haven't yet answered questions correctly on. Another way that we can support the students at home to prepare for science lessons and assessments that they will have in year 9 and 10 is to be familiar with the physics equations. 30% of the physics marks are for maths. Some of those marks are for remembering and applying a series of equations or formula. This is probably more useful for the year 10s at this stage than it would be for the year 9s. As year 9s go further into the course, having the memory and the ability to remember those equations and apply those equations will become increasingly important. But this really, the use of these equations and being tested or quizzed on these equations is probably more useful to the year 10s who have studied more of them and will be familiar with more of them. If you do have any questions about this or any other aspect that I've shared with you, please do get in contact with myself via email or any of the other science teachers in the department. Thank you.
I'm now going to share with you a few resources that can support your son or daughter in their revision and preparation for their examinations. On the school website, if you go onto the school information tab and down to the learning and teaching, you can then click on exams. When the exams tab loads, you will notice it says current external exam by subject with links to exam boards. If you click on this, you will find out which exam board each subject uses, and there will be links to the examination board where you can download past papers and mark schemes. Below that is revision guides for each subject, so there are links to each revision guides and they give you useful websites for that subject. Scenic Learning is a really useful online revision tool. It's packed with revision materials and it's mostly free. It covers materials for at least 16 subjects in GCSE, and there's hyper-learning link aimed at grades 7 to 9. You can pay £2.99 per month for 3 subjects or £3.99 per month for all subjects with extra coaching, exam questions and memory training and parent summaries. Another service to motivate students, £11.99 per month, that guarantees GCSE achievement of grade 7 to 9 or your money back. This has been recommended by the local authority. However, I haven't got any experience of the paid aspect of this resource, but the free aspect is certainly worth looking at. I'm now going to take you through some useful revision techniques and strategies that students could use, but it's very, very important that they select the strategies and techniques that suit their learning style. The first thing for every student, whatever their learning style, is to have a revision timetable and to stick to it. This is an example of a revision planner. It gives every day of the week from 7 o'clock in the morning till 11:30 at night. What I would advise is that your son or daughter puts in all the things they enjoy. For example, if they like watching a particular television programme or they go to football training, they put that in first. Once they've done that, they will slot all their revision around that. And I would advise no longer than an hour revision slots with a good rest between. However, they need to be doing each subject at least 3 or 4 times a week, and ensuring that they are doing quality revision and not wasting time before they begin that revision. The next revision technique I'm going to share with you is a read and summarise. Students get a passage of work to remember. It can be quite difficult if it's quite a large amount of writing. So if you just have a quick look at this is a science example about the reflex action in the nervous system. If they were to look at that, it would be very difficult to retain that information as it stands for some students. The first thing they can do to help them remember this information is to highlight the key words, so that those are the words that they need to remember and make sense of in their own minds as they are revising. A step further, they could make a visual representation of those keywords. So for example, the stimulus, somebody puts their finger or sits on a drawing pin, the receptors take that message to the sensory nerve to say, ouch, that hurts. That goes to the central nervous system, and it's the motor nerve that carries it to the effectors to take out the response, to stand up off that drawing pin or take their finger away. The next revision technique is to use a diagram or a mind map. This is particularly useful for visual learners. If they are not visual learners, it won't be very useful to them. It's an example of an English mind map of where to begin on Macbeth. So for example, around it's got all of the Macbeth characters, and then you could write the character traits in and then include famous quotes about the character here. This is another English example for English literature of a mind map, and it's a Fort of Mice and Men, and each of the branches that initially come off represent the act in the actual story, and then from that they can put things about the characters and the events that happen, and perhaps the themes that come out in each act, and they can even put pictures in there that help them visualise and remember each scene. Some other really good revision techniques, one is a checklist of key questions. So as they're reading their notes, students can write out questions about the information they're reading and the answers. At a later stage, somebody else within the family can ask them those questions and check that they're getting their answers right. Those that they don't get right, they can revisit at a later stage. A really effective way of revising is to be able to understand something so thoroughly and teach it to somebody else. So if you are able to, please allow them to teach you something, even if you're not interested, because it will help them to thoroughly understand what they are teaching. Another revision technique is crib cards or keywords. Girls tend to like these. I know that is very stereotypical, but they like to organise things on a little crib card or keywords card so that they can visualise that then when they get into the exam. These are examples of the crib cards, or sometimes known as flashcards. Obviously these are examples that can be bought, but it's usually better if the students make their own, so it's relevant to the courses that they're studying. The next revision technique I'm going to talk about is mnemonics. This is a biology example of mnemonics, and it helps students to remember the path of blood around the heart. So the mnemonic is Ron loves London, lessons bore Ron, and the first letter of each word represents part of the path of blood around the body. So the right side of the heart, the blood goes to the lungs, and then to the left side of the heart, and then to the body, and then to the right side of the heart. Another mnemonic to do with the blood in the heart, remembering whether it's oxygenated or deoxygenated blood, is the word Lord. Left side of the heart is oxygenated blood, and the right side of the heart is deoxygenated blood. Other revision strategies include past papers. If students complete past papers, they are practicing questions that they may get similar ones in the real exam, and they can use the mark schemes to check what they've got right and whether they need to revise any particular topic within that subject again. They can practice extended answers and use success criteria to self-assess themselves. They can ask the teacher for something we call a waggle, which is what a good one looks like if they struggle to get the full marks. The most important thing is that students do things with their notes, not just read them. If they just sit and read them, it's highly unlikely they're going to retain that information. It's important that they find their own revision style. They could be visual learners, auditory learners, or kinesthetic learners, and they need to find the correct revision style for them. It's important they turn social media off and they're not tempted to keep looking at the phone or checking Facebook or Instagram whilst revising. And I advise a quiet room with no music where they can fully concentrate during that revision period.
Hello everyone, I'm Mrs Anderton and Head of Year 9. I hope you are all well. I can't emphasise how important it is for home and school to work together. We all want the same thing. We want your child to be successful, not only academically, but to also equip them with the life skills that they will need on leaving St Joseph's. It is a team effort, and it is vital that we all play our part in ensuring that we enable your child to reach and hopefully exceed their potential to allow them to move on to the next phase in their lives when they do leave St Joseph's. It won't be easy, and at times we might disagree on certain decisions and approaches, but rest assured, these decisions are made to support your child with their best interests central of all that we do. I have been part of the St Joseph's community for a long time now, having been here as a pupil, my children and my husband coming here, and now working here. I have always been so very proud of the partnership between home and school. It is most definitely one of our strongest and effective attributes. So, what can you do as parents? What is your role? It's not an easy job by any means. Your role could include acting as a go-between, a study buddy, a provider of equipment and resources, a project manager, and even an attendance officer. Attendance is a big one for me and the school. Good attendance of 97% and above is vital in ensuring that potential is met or exceeded. Nothing can replace the quality first teaching in the classroom. Even though your child will copy up the notes they have missed, they will still have missed out on the discussions and the random questions and answers that are naturally generated in lessons. I would also encourage you to support your child whenever they are studying or revising at home. Know what they are doing, show an interest, and support them as much as you can. That could be question and answer sessions, quizzes, or just encouragement that they are doing well and doing their best. As always, if there is any help and advice that we can support with, you just need to ask.
Hi, good evening. It's Mr. Sharrock speaking at the Year 10. Obviously, I'll take over from here. The slide speaks for itself in some respects. Obviously, if you're helping your children with their work, they're 80% more likely to succeed in their studies. This is obviously quite a difficult one. I know from experience with my children, they sometimes say it's all right, I know what I'm doing, I'm not struggling with it. But in some respects, the more you actually help with them and sit and engage with what they're doing, the better and more successful they'll actually be with it. I know my eldest son's currently in year 11, and he will say to me, it's all right, Dad, I know what I'm doing here. But in some respects, if you sit with them and just help them out, find out what they're struggling with in the subject areas, perhaps get them revision guides, etc., work through the revision guides with them, you will find them being much more successful. Point 1 here is really, really important, which is that home-school communication. You'll see work that pupils are doing. I know you're probably accessing e-praise to look at what's going on the homeworks and things they're learning, whether it be on Seneca Learning or presentations that staff are sending home, and you get an idea what your son or daughter is struggling with. If you do have any concerns regarding this, please give me a call, or obviously the head of year. Get in touch with heads of subject areas and have a conversation. The sooner you do that, obviously, the better for your child. The attendance obviously again important. Again, statistics will show high attendance relates quite well to high achievement. And the third point, Mrs. Hancock is our careers advisor in school. I would strongly recommend if you know what your children want to do, they've got plans and aspirations, encourage them to aim high and also encourage them to speak to Mrs. Hancock. She can direct them to absolutely fantastic resources regarding future careers, jobs, and also bringing people to speak to your children as well. The final point, obviously a lot of pupils will have books out on beds and the room's a little bit, for a better phrase, a bit of a mess. Quiet working spaces, have a desk if you can, and sort of revision timetable out for you and your child to work through together. So if I'm linking that back to the slide I've just gone through, you know, when your children are doing certain subject areas and you can sit with them and work through revision together, work through revision guides together, etc. And the final one was one of my bugbears massively as a parent, is no electronic devices at night as such. I have a sort of restriction with my children where I like to have an hour without an electronic device before bedtime. Again, if you're looking at the statistics and looking at the research, especially with iPhones and iPads, etc., it's the sleep deprivation that an iPad or an electronic device that can cause, so upsetting sleep patterns, etc.
We do offer additional support for students who are perhaps struggling in particular areas. We have intervention sessions put on by different subject areas, and sometimes students are invited to these, and other times it is compulsory for them to attend. We have mentoring in school to try and raise aspirations and help students with their organisation. We have additional English and maths lessons for certain students. We have rewards and celebration assemblies. It gives the students something to aim for and also to feel proud of their achievements. And we offer regular careers and information guidance through various events throughout the years.
And so from a parent to a parent carer, this is what I wish somebody had told me before my child reached secondary school age. I wish they'd told me that one day the child that I'd raised may one day waken to find that they no longer wish to be a child, but that they're not sure if they want the responsibility and stress of strain of becoming an adult. I wish somebody had told me that at the same time, almost by a cruel trick of nature, their bodies would change and their voices would break, and as if that isn't enough to deal with on top of GCSEs and college applications, etc., etc., they suddenly find that they have urges and feelings that they had never felt before. Sometimes it might be for a person, sometimes it might be for a substance or a computer game. And we all know what social media does to us, but I wish somebody had told me that it does the same to them. We feel the urge to tell the world how brilliant we are, how amazing our lives are. But that's because we think that's what the world wants to know. But for young people, unless we tell them that we love them for who they are and give them unconditional acceptance, they may look to social media to find out how they measure up. Mirror, mirror on Instagram, tell me who they think I am. Mirror, mirror on Snapchat, tell me really, am I fat? So dear parent carer, when that day comes, remember it's not your fault and you're not alone. Speak to us and speak to your child. Cast your mind back to when they were teething and remember what you felt like when you had a sleep-deprived evening. Yes, when you couldn't make a rational decision, even if your life depended on it. Well, sadly, some young people today, their life does depend on it. So agree a time to remove electrics, switch off social media, let their heads hit the pillow for at least 8 hours a night, with the peace of knowing that they're accepted by you and us, rather than waiting for their validation from Snapchat or Instagram. And always remember the story of Sally. Sally had a goldfish whom she adored. She fed it every day without fail until one day she woke up to see that it had sunken to the bottom of the bowl and was lying lifeless. Mum consoled Sally, protecting her from the truth, and told her that Jerry would be okay and sent her off to school. Sally's mum then rushed to the pet shop, and in a scene that the pet shop owner had seen many times before, she purchased as close a replica to the now lifeless goldfish that lay at the bottom of Jerry's bowl. When Sally returned home from school, she exclaimed, "Mummy, Jerry's better again. And what's more, he's even fatter than he was." We smile, but Sally's mum deprived her from learning an important lesson that day, that everything in life isn't always easy. Good things come to an end, relationships break down, people fall out. And if that happens for your child, don't rush in to try and solve it for them. What's more, if your child's struggling with something, or if you can think of a way to improve our school to help your child, resist the temptation to post it online for the whole world to see. Just simply contact your head of year or class teacher, because we always value conversations that are influential in improving the lives of our young people. In fact, better still, let's encourage our young people to have a voice and to grow in resilience and to work with us to solve things for them together. So remember, you're not alone. We're here for you, and we can be unlimited when we work together. Lord, in a world of uncertainty, let us be confident that we can rely on you, our Creator, to guide us. In the midst of the most exciting but challenging year for our young people so far, we ask that you will bless them with all they need to flourish and achieve beyond their wildest imagination. Stay with us, Lord, on our journey. Amen.